Well, hello and welcome everybody to Women Wednesdays. We're so glad to have you with us here today. It's just really a special occasion. Of course, it's Black History Month, but it's also the perfect time to meet with Inman Johnson and also talk about preserving Black history as a part of a community's heritage. It's so important, especially these days. It's really important to have this conversation. So we're so honored to have you here. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So for a lot of people, this might be your first time to Domi Station. Can I have a show of hands, anybody, if this is your first time to Domi Station? So if you don't know what this facility is, this is our community's co-working and incubator space. So anybody who's starting a business, an effort, initiative, or anything of that kind, this is a place where anybody can just come here, show up, and meet and talk with people who, can help them with starting their business or, starting their effort or just ideating. There's something you want to do and you want to think it through. There's people here for you to talk to. But then they also have programs for training to help you, elevate your business and move forward. So it's just an incredible place of opportunity. And I always like to say it's in a dynamic environment. When you come here, again, you can just walk in the door and meet people. It's going to be dynamic. You're going to meet new people. You're going to meet people who are doing things you might never know. You might find your teammate or someone that you might want to go into business with, or someone that can help you with something you're doing. So it's just an incredible place of opportunity. So, I'm so glad you, at least the ones that are coming the first time, know about it. So then we're Women Wednesdays. So how did Women Wednesdays start? We started here at Domi. So originally there wasn't programming for women, but who are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs? Women. Right, okay, of women who are just growing at rapid speed in terms of entrepreneurs. Black women. So there is no way on this earth you would want to have a community business incubator or co-working space that wasn't representative. And what is the average age of a woman entrepreneur?
47. 47.
Yeah, it's kind of like 47. So again, like this is what women entrepreneurs look like. They look like us, and so it's critically important that we represent. So again, whether you're interested in Domi Station or Women Wednesdays, or just being a part of like our community effort to reach people. So what is Women Wednesdays? We're just all about building a collaborative community of women that help each other succeed. Because anytime you're starting out, there can be some challenges or there can be some limitations like money or different things like that. And so a lot of times you can go further by just tapping into the power of other people, that collaboration. So that's what we're all about. Anybody who wants to become a member, we let everybody come for free. But there is an opportunity to do members. Why do we want members? To just fund what we're doing. So anybody who wants to, it's $9 a month, $89 a year. It just helps us do this. So we're all volunteers, but we very much appreciate any members. So Tamara is hiding back there. So Tamara's she's our speaker series coordinator. She's going to help us kick off today. But before I do that, we have a special guest here today. And I should say it's just part of our Women Wednesdays community. And that's Commissioner Curtis Richardson. Stand up, please. Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Barbara. I'm just a regular, really.
Yes, I was going to say
I've been
that.
here since its inception and have supported Barbara and the other volunteers that have made this happen and have been very supportive of women in our community. Y'all know I've got a house full of women at home. And I wouldn't be where I am, of course, without a woman. But women have been a part of my life, all of my life, and my professional career and my political career. And so it just makes sense that I would be an honorary sister girl with Beth. Mike is one of the honorary sister girls. But it is a pleasure to be here, and Dot and I have known each other for the longest. I met Dot when she was an art teacher at Florida High, when Florida High was on campus.
Yes.
And it was a demon. That's how long Dot and I had known. And our paths have crossed over the years, socially, politically, but I can't tell you how much Dot has contributed to this community over the years in so many ways. You all know about her political background on the city commission and being the first African-American female mayor of the city of Tallahassee and elected to the commission, actually. And so, Dot, thank you for all that you do, and I'm proud to be one of the Black History First. It's chronicled in her book, and I have gotten several copies. I bought copies for my daughters so that they will have that in the future, and they can look back and see what we've done here in Tallahassee. So, Doc, thank you for all that you've done, and I know you got your support back here. But thank you all so much, and I look forward to the presentation. I wouldn't have missed it today. All right.
Thank you.
Can I just add too with Commissioner Richardson? I mean, he truly is a loyal supporter of everything we're doing, to the point that he's also a part of creating trades work. And if you see back there on that sign, or there's another one there, and that's about increasing opportunities for women in the skilled trades. So why would that matter? So at this time in our history, there is massive shortages of jobs in construction or the skilled trades. And guess what? They're super high paying. So massive shortages, super high paying. This is just the most incredible time for women to enter the skilled trades. So we've created this program called Trades Work. We're going to be working with Lively and TCC and just do everything to understand that as women, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can start a field in construction or the trades at any age. So whether women or girls, just really start helping us plant that seed and get that out there, because it really is an incredible field of opportunity. Okay, but we're talking about the history right now of getting our event going today. So Tamara, do you have a few words you want to say as our speaker series coordinator?
Yes, hi, I'm Tamara Smith. I've been talking to everyone off camera as well. I'm the speaker series coordinator. I work behind the scenes and right in front of the camera to make sure that we get these awesome speakers to you each week, that you can see them, that you can hear them, that you can glean from them, and that they can continue to make that huge impact that they already do through our community. I'm also the regional director of partnerships for an awesome organization called One More Child. And our mission is to help children and families, vulnerable children and families in need, through foster care, through single moms programs, through anti-trafficking effort, through child hunger efforts. And we do that locally, nationally, and globally. So if you want to find out how you can come alongside us and support children and families in need, please let me know. You can find out more at onemorechild.org, or you can stop by and see me today. Right now, I'm on a mission for our local families to get 100 Easter baskets done. 100 Easter baskets for 100 foster children and single moms children in our care and throughout the community. Right? So if you would like to be a part of that, you're like, I can get a couple of baskets together, I can get you some supplies, let me know afterward. I'll start a sign-up list, I'll give you my business card. I would really love to get this done and even surpass that. You can do that? Awesome. So maybe we can have an Easter basket building day, one more Women Wednesdays, you never know. So just let me know.
We built a house. We helped build a house.
Yes,
so we
built a house. We can build Easter baskets.
Yes.
I agree. So if you'd like to find out more, let me know, please. I would love to help you. But I'm here today to introduce a beautiful human being. And I say that because I'm inspired. I had to go through the motions of kind of getting her ready for today, but I didn't get to kind of bask and bow and all other things today, but I'll start. And I'll tell you a little bit about her. Commissioner Richardson already mentioned this, but as Tallahassee's first Black woman elected citywide to the Tallahassee City Commission, two-term mayor, author, artist, advocate, and educator, Inman Johnson has over 40 years of service to Tallahassee. She joins us to share the importance of Black history and telling our community's story. In fact, it is what inspired her recent book, Tallahassee's Black History First, which preserves the histories of notable Tallahasseans who became the first in their area of expertise. You can learn more about Dot, but we have the pleasure of hearing it from her today. So let's welcome Inman Johnson.
All right. So we're going to hand this over to you and let people focus on you. We're going to get out of the way here.
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure being here, and thank you, Curtis. And I want to first introduce my support system if I did not have the good Reverend Lee Johnson. Who spent time setting up a display table for me that has my books. And the book here is the 4th book I've written. And some of you who haven't known me for long, Mary May and I worked at Florida High together. And we are retired faculty from there. Raise your hand, Mary. And she is another wonderful historic preservationist and has written at least 2 books I'm aware of. One, 4, your 4th. Her most recent is Tallahassee's Gilded Age. And she wrote her first book. It was on Black political leaders pre or during the Reconstruction era, and on Tallahassee's history. So I'm proud to have Mary. She made me so happy when she walked through the door here. And Gloria Anderson sitting beside her, who is doing major historic research right now to preserve the families, the older Black families in this community, their heritage. And I want to applaud her for the work she's doing. And of course, I don't want to miss my good friend, former County Judge Judith Hawkins. We have known each other for years, and our children grew up together. Even my oldest son babysat her son, Jason. So I am in the company of a lot of wonderful people and a lot of wonderful friends. And Pam Ridley, don't want to forget Pam. Businesswoman here, and we have crossed and been involved in joint projects for many, many years.
She's also what I call the mother of Tallahassee.
And I do want to point out that my husband spent a lot of time setting up the exhibit, so I hope all of you will take a minute to check out what he has on the table. Black history and preserving our heritage is so important. This book is just a small step in that direction here in Tallahassee. And I could not mention this book without giving credit to Dr. Clenita Ford. For those of you who don't know, she was the first lady to James Ford, the first Black mayor after Reconstruction. And she would not let go. She got a hold of me like a dog with a bone and told me, we need to be documenting the history of our community. It needs to be documented. My husband and I, who founded our church, Loved by Jesus Family Church, as a nonprofit, had been recognizing Black first in Tallahassee at an annual dinner we held, first at the Capital City Country Club, and then in following years at the Leon County Civic Center, the Donald Tucker Civic Center. And Clenita attended one of those meetings, one of those dinners. And after the dinner, she came up to me and she said, "Dot, you know, most of these people you are recognizing and awarding, most of Tallahassee is not aware of their contributions, of how they have meant so much to this community. And we need to do something." She said, we need to do something about documenting this. And then she said, "You need to write a book about it." And I said to Clenita, "Clenita, I've written 3 books." I said, "And it is hard work. It's a labor of love, but it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. And at my age, I can't commit to devoting that much time to writing a book of this magnitude that will require that much research." And she did not take no for an answer. She kept after me, and my husband can document this, for about 5 months until she wore me down. And I said, "Okay, Clenita, I will start researching, pulling together information and see if I'm up to doing this." 2 years later, here's the book. But it's so important because at a time when there are folks who are downplaying our history, it is so important that we preserve it. And it starts locally. It starts locally where people know each other. There are people still alive who know the history from way back, and they can be counted on to provide the oral history that goes with what's written in the book. And that's the presentation I made to the Leon County School Board, that our children need to know more current history. Now, one reporter, when she came to interview me when the book was first released, said, "Well, these people are still around." As if to say, if you're still alive today, that means you aren't part of history. And I am here to say, in researching the lives of people who are included in this book, like Judith and Curtis and myself, we have been around for a while. I started out in Birmingham, Alabama, growing up in one of the poorest neighborhoods in Birmingham with 13 siblings. And working poor parents, a dad in the coal mines and a mom doing housework, a maid. But she also was part of the history of our community because she encouraged her children to be activists, to be part of the civil rights movement in the 60s in Birmingham. And as a teenager, I was an activist in the marches behind Reverend King and Abernathy and Shuttlesworth. And it was a dangerous time. I was there when the 16th Street Baptist Church was bombed. I was an 8-year-old child when the Jet magazine came out about Emmett Till's funeral. So these are historical events that I witnessed. And I may not look my age, I hope I don't, but I'm an old lady.
Good
My, my oldest child is going to be 54 years old this year. So even though we are still alive, that's a benefit. We lived through that history, and we are here as voices that can provide the oral part of the history that goes with what we read about in books today. And the same is true for Tallahassee. I moved to Tallahassee in December 1971 from the Tacoma, Seattle metropolitan area, when my first husband was accepted in school at Florida A&M University. And we moved here with my oldest son, my only child then, who had just turned 2 years old. So I have been a part of this community. I adopted it as home. I love Tallahassee. When my husband proposed to me almost 22 years ago, he wanted to know where we would live. I said, well, he was in the process of moving to Atlanta for a job, a good job. And I said, well, this is going to be a long distance marriage because I'm not leaving Tallahassee, even though I went to school in Atlanta. And he is here, and I'm here. And that says a lot about how long he has been supportive of this lady. I wanted to talk today because I have been so concerned about the kinds of things I hear about Black history by politicians using the words CRT, critical race theory, and wokeness to describe anything they disagree with. Well, the definition I grew up knowing of woke meant alert, aware, well-informed. And based on that definition, I am a proud woke person. And the false statements about critical race theory. That course is only taught in colleges and universities. Nobody has been using that course to indoctrinate children K through 12. I was a teacher for 28 years, and all teachers want to do is have the freedom to carry out their profession, care for their children, and teach. They don't want to be armed security guards. They do not want to be dictated to by people who have no understanding of the curriculum and teaching what can be taught and what books or subjects should be banned. If they really wanted to help education, they would put civics education back in the curriculum. They would put geography back in the curriculum. I was watching Jimmy Kimmel the other night, and he has these little skits where he sends people out on the street to ask passers-by questions. And he would ask people questions to see if they could distinguish between a continent and a country. And hardly any of them could. And some even thought a state was a country. Government and civics education, most of them did not know the 3 basic branches of government and what they were responsible for. Could not name a single one of their elected leaders. What does that tell you about whether they voted or not? It is important that we are teaching our children. When Mary and I were at Florida High, we had the freedom to teach. We presented at national conferences where we learned from other people in our field. We were sent by FSU to England to learn about the British infant schools and bring that information back and share it with the school system in setting up some of those systems. Today, teachers are afraid to teach, and they are especially afraid to teach the truth about Black history for fear of being arrested and criminalized, for fear of losing their license, for fear of losing their jobs. Recently, Rocky Hanna was notified that he is under investigation for wokeness. Can't there be a better definition for why he is being investigated? Somebody did not like that something was being taught in schools, and if that's the situation, Why not deal with it straight up instead of penalizing the superintendent and everybody in the school district? I will tell you that children are in no danger of being made to feel guilty by having true history taught. I have children that I taught years ago who are teachers, lawyers, social workers, mamas, daddies, who come up to me in the grocery store at the mall and give me a hug and are real excited to see me. And I never let anything that happened to me in the early part of my life, or even something that happened to me in 1981, when I received a call from Birmingham that my younger brother, Benjamin, who had just served in the military and returned home, had gone missing on his way to play basketball with some of his friends at the gym. I was on pins and needles for a whole month every time the phone would ring, until that awful call came that his body had been found in a lake 7 miles from our neighborhood. And it was suspicious. The police listed it as a suicide. It took me a long time to get over the pain from that situation. I wrote letters to the U.S. Department of Justice begging them to open an investigation. Nothing happened. I finally had to let go for my own sanity. But I was teaching children, and you guys who've been around for a while know that most of the children at Florida High were white. It wasn't as integrated as it is today. Most of the faculty, almost all of the faculty, were white. But my children grew up understanding their history. It was taught as history through documentaries, answering questions they might have. Yet, my children always had diverse friends. I cannot count on both hands the number of sleepovers that I had with their buddies who thought of me as a second mama, who were white, Asian, and Black. And they spent a lot of time at our home. I even provided the home for one of my son's white friends that he had known since they grew up as 3-year-olds up to now. They are best friends. He lives in Tampa. And when his parents moved to take a job in New York, they wanted to take him with them. He was a senior in high school. He did not want to go. He asked if he could stay with us until he graduated. And he did. And his parents allowed it because we were that close. There has never been a situation, even with the trauma that I have had in my life with the treatment of Black folks, discrimination, where any of that was ever visited on a child in the schools where I taught, or a child that I came into contact with. And most teachers feel that way. They love the children who are in their care. And children are more apt to be open to diversity and other cultures than maybe older grandparents or some parents may be. And they are more easily transformative in terms of relationships with others, learning about others, integrating that into their thinking, and trying to understand the situation of others as we learn the situations of each other. The notion that to teach Black history, African American history, is a way of indoctrinating our children or making them feel guilt for things that were done generations and generations before they were born. Amen. That's one of the driving forces for me in feeling we have to continue what has been started. The people who live through trauma are the best witnesses to the history and interpreting that history. Just as the Jews still carry the trauma of the Holocaust, Black people still carry the trauma of their ancestors being brought here in chains in the 1600s. And slavery not being abolished until 1865, 200 years later. And even when abolished, Jim Crow laws preventing us living out the life we should have had after the abolition of slavery until and after the Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964. And the Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965. If people understand that history, understand the trauma that's built into all of that, then they would understand how scary it is for Black Americans today feeling that everything that was worked so hard for, that people died to make happen, is about to be rolled back in 2023. And it's only by trying to understand what has been the life of each of us that we can better understand each other and make this a better place. I love Tallahassee, as I said from the beginning. One of the books I wrote was about livable cities. But in the book, I make it a point when telling the stories of the people who are the trailblazers, not to limit their stories to resumes, because you're only getting the end of the story. I tried to pull out of them information about how they started, because that helps everyone to understand the people that they see, the challenges they had to overcome to make the achievements, and what they contributed to the history of Tallahassee. Some of these stories, like the Williams Hill family, business people in this community, property owners in this community, out off Centerville Road and Miccosukee and Blairstone. They used to own all of that property. And they celebrate May 20th every year on the Hill Park, right there on Centerville, and invite the community in, because that was the day that Tallahassee Black people learned that slavery had been abolished. It wasn't the day it was done. It took a while for the word to get to Tallahassee. And so that's the day that's celebrated in that park every year. In writing part of the history of the trailblazers, like Tommy Mitchell, who nobody knew was one of the Harlem Globetrotters, I got to write a lot of history about Frenchtown, because that's where he grew up. I got to point out some of these trailblazers who are still so loyal to the old Lincoln High School. Yes. I got to talk about the heyday of Frenchtown, when it wasn't the Frenchtown we see now. It was a bustling Frenchtown with businesses and some of the best restaurants. And when Black entertainers came to Tallahassee, like James Brown, like Sam Cooke, like that caliber of person, they could not get a room at a hotel during segregation. Many of the folks who owned houses in Frenchtown, there on Virginia Street, turned their houses into inns. And that's where these popular entertainers stayed when they were in town. It's history. It's not just the lives of the people who are being highlighted in the book. It's Tallahassee's history at the same time. So that's the importance of recognizing all who helped to build this community, giving them their recognition and reward. And I say again, as I close, that nobody is in a better position to preserve and document the history of a people than the people who lived that history. And I thank you.
I had a little idea while we were finishing up. Tomorrow night, we're going to close out the show with you, but I think we have two ladies that I think I would love to have come up and help close things out. Is it? Mom! I had a drink. Go ahead and have a seat. Just let, we could, if they want to share a few words too on this topic, I think that would be lovely. Because I know these are people very important to you as well. So let me just mention, we'll just continue this conversation a little bit, but also after we, conclude today, we're going to take a group photo, and I would love to hold up the sign and have us all be together. But I think it's really important to sort of say how important your book is, how important this subject is. So we'll continue the conversation for a few minutes here, but then I hope you'll stay for a group photo for the group. So go ahead, continue. Share what your thoughts on what we're talking about today.
Thank you, Dot. As she mentioned before, we have worked on several joint projects serving in the community. And she mentioned I'm a business owner. I own a self-storage, the only woman-owned self-storage in all of Tallahassee. I've been there 30 years. And prior to that, I was in the classroom. I taught in the Caribbean, South Carolina, Virginia. I was a math and chemistry professor. And then I got into business. So I was STEM before STEM was STEM. And Dot, you have been a great influence on me with regards to your positiveness and all that you do, regardless of what obstacles are in your way. And I admire you greatly. And tomorrow's students are leaving their classrooms, the university students, at noon to protest this wokeness. Tomorrow.
For the first time, we really got a reason to march.
Yeah, and so they are going to protest the wokeness and the conceal and carry without permission. So it will be a great day in Tallahassee tomorrow. So thank you for all that you have done in this book and highlighted the people whom I knew quite a bit. And I go to that May 20th celebration on the Williams Farm every year since I've been in Tallahassee, because I know Mr. Williams quite well on the professional business level, and we have become good friends. And this young lady,
I like that she's introducing me as young. Dot didn't tell you, but we actually were neighbors. We were neighbors for quite a while. We started there. I've had the opportunity to just kind of pick up the paper and see what's Dot doing today. What is she, as my son says about me, I keep reinventing myself, and it's like Dot Inman Johnson now constantly reinvented herself, and everything that she reinvented herself into has been for the good of Tallahassee. Truly someone whose history, and I wish we could come up with another word for history, because when we think about it in terms of us still living, why don't we say example? Whose living example shows that we can make contributions and that we can inspire and encourage others. I'm very honored to be a part of the book.
Yes.
When I think that it was 1996 before Tallahassee, Leon County had its first elected Black judge. 1996. Up until that time, there was a circuit judge, but she had been appointed by the governor. And I always felt that to be elected by the people of Leon County said a whole lot. And so as we celebrate this, let us be quick to encourage those who are still living by saying thank you. By saying thank you, because there have been costs, there have been struggles, there have been experiences, there's been a lot of sadness, but there's been enough joy to
Amen.
keep us
Amen.
moving on.
We'll be closing things out now, but thank you so much, and thank you, Dot. Really, what you have
Oh,
to say is so
Where do
very
you want
important.
us for the
You
picture?
just stay right there for a second.
Okay.
So I just want to tell us, first and foremost, thank you for Dot for joining us, and for these lovely ladies as well.
And I wanted to quickly say, when you talked about celebrating, my 7-year-old, when he comes home and he talks about history, he talks about it in a way that I wasn't taught growing up, with such pride. And he says it as a matter of fact. He doesn't say it like something radical has happened. He just says things as a matter of fact that are actually true. And to me, that is a point of celebration. I'm a former educator, and I remember the tension of trying to teach the right thing with the pressure of knowing what I have to teach. And to me, right there, that's a point of celebration. He's 7, and he's going to grow up with a different sense and perspective of the world just because of what he's being taught. So let's encourage that. And thank you for all the trailblazing you have done so that I can stand here and say that about my little one right here in Tallahassee.
Yeah, and not let anybody take that away.
Did you give the audience our names so that when they hear this later, they'll know who we are?
Go ahead and say that if you want.
I don't know if we ever said who we are, so what's your name?
I am Pam Ridley.
And I'm former Judith Hawkins, Leon County Judge.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I just wanted to quickly tell you about what we're going to be doing next week. So Women Wednesdays has started something a little bit new. We've done it a few times now, but it's called First Wednesday. So it's the first Wednesday of every month. We're going to be in the evening. And it's really exciting what we're doing. First Wednesday, which would be next week, is we're going to have the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. And it's so they can hear from us, like, because it's the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. We're going to share our status. So if you can help us spread the word, I mean, it's important. And one thing, like the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls has recently gotten some funding for their operation. And like the Commission on the Status of Men and Boys has had greater funding and things like that, but the women haven't, so they're finally getting some funding. So let's make sure that we support them, because the work they do is going to be critical to the work that we can do. That's going to be next week at 6 p.m. right here at Dome.
I remember them. They had an office behind my office when I was practicing law back then.
Well, see, you can share a lot of us. All right. So,
And I was just appointed to the governing board of the Commission on Men and Boys.
oh, that's great. Yeah. I'm glad they have funding for women to grow. Okay, well, awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming. So if everybody doesn't mind, before anybody leaves, if we can quickly, I think the easiest place to take a photo.
Probably this way, the white ones that way.
Yeah.
I'd just like to mention Emily Mitchum of the Refuge House. She's the executive director, and they do great work here in Tallahassee, and their pantry always needs food.
And these are our 2 huge supporters right here, so another round of applause for that.
Okay, all right, well then we're gonna say goodbye to our friends online, and then we're gonna ask everybody if you can kind of come over here. We'll